Considering iOS 17, macOS Sonoma 14, etc., just launched in September, some people might think that their replacements are still in the planning phases. No, Apple's well past that. Last month, the company completed the first version of the next iPhone, iPad, and Mac operating systems, reported Bloomberg on Tuesday. That iteration, known as M1, since it's the first major milestone. After reaching Milestone 1, Apple developers reportedly stopped adding new features to Milestone 2 because the code had too many bugs. As iOS 18, macOS 15, and WatchOS 11 are still many months away, it's possible this brief delay will have no effect on users. On the other hand, bumped my microphone there. On the other hand, it might cause Apple executives to be less ambitious about how many additional features can go into the next major versions when they launch in fall 2024. I just wanted to mention this because my understanding of how Apple works on these giant software projects broadly is that it's not like they ship iOS 17 and then they start thinking, oh well, let's start working on iOS 18. No, I mean, internally, like they focus on these different teams. Like there's their Safari team, their Photos team, and then within those specifically, they have different teams working on like specific features. It could take like years in the making. I can't imagine how long like the team that was working on iCloud Shared Photo Library probably had to work on that. When I was at WWDC, I was talking to a guy who like said he was working on Stage Manager, and I was like, oh, how long did that take? And he was like, we've been working on this a long time, like many years.
12 years. It's like,
Yeah.
and this is what you came up with?
So like at some point, all these teams working on these features, once they get close enough, they will then start to be like rebased into specific releases. Like, okay, our team will be ready to go by the next major version, and so that'll be rolled into iOS 18 and all that. And I think that if anything, this story tells me that the next major software releases are going to be pretty big ones with a lot of features on the, as opposed to what Ed was speculating here. If there are so many new features that like by milestone 1, like the entire thing was like breaking catastrophically, so they had to like pump the brakes and say, hold on, we gotta work some of this stuff out. That could mean there's some big changes coming to the next major releases, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm always a fan of hardening. Like if they're having major problems and they want to take a moment and actually address a lot of those issues, I'm always a fan of that. Like, I continually have issues with iOS and macOS, and there's little things that just don't work the way that they're supposed to work, and they're kind of buggy, and I'm like, dude, they just drives me crazy. So, but it seems like this pause is going to be not very long, and to your earlier comment, maybe something that we don't even notice. I saw a story from Gurman that said even though that they're taking this pause to do bug fixing, they're still going to be adding a bunch of new major features to iOS 18. So
I would also like to know, like, how unusual is this? Like, is this like the anonymous source who, slipped this information to Mark Gurman didn't add the context? Maybe it's somebody who's new at Apple. Like, he didn't specify like whether this is a regular part of the process or not. Like, it could just be like, every few milestones they stop adding new features and they just work out bugs until the next one. And, we don't really know that much. If you have any additional context to add, you can send me an anonymous email, feedback@dgriffinjones.com. Let me know.